If you want your workforce to provide customers with exceptional service or deliver a superior product, you need to attract top talent, train them properly, and keep them loyal. But in a tight labor market, finding the right employees isn't easy, and prospective employees have much more negotiating power. Companies are responding by being more creative in their recruiting and in the way they organize their workforce. To learn what that means, let me welcome to BizWise TV CEO of the Northern California Human Resources Association, Danica Davis. Danica, great to have you here.
Delighted to be here.
Now, they always say good help is hard to find. Still the case?
Absolutely, and more so every day.
Why is that?
Well, an issue this complex has multiple sources, and we'll have multiple solutions. But primarily, we've had a significant drop in birth rates. This baby boom generation that flooded the labor market is starting to retire, and there just aren't the workers behind them to replace them.
Is it a problem both in the skilled set as well as the manufacturing sector?
Absolutely. This is a universal problem. There's a projection that by the year 2012, we'll be short 6 million workers in the United States, and nowhere to get them.
What are companies going to do?
Well, they're really going to have to fundamentally change the way they look for talent. And historically, you looked at somebody that was in one career path for 30 years, right? And I want somebody with 5 to 10 years experience doing exactly what I do now. Then we saw a shift, and people would go between companies. People move around between companies. And the latest iteration is people are changing careers multiple times. The projection is 5 to 7 career changes within the work span of an adult. So when you look for these people now, you really have to focus in on what skill sets am I trying to bring into my organization, and be creative about where you might find those, because you're not going to find the person with exactly the title you're looking for with 3 to 5 years experience in a company that does exactly what you do. The workplace is changing much too quickly for those kind of paradigms to be put around recruiting.
Now, you've mentioned something about the corporate ladder changing. Tell me about that. You define that differently.
Very good. So originally there was a corporate ladder, which is you started at a company, as I said, historically one company, and you worked your way up through all of the jobs, and you got a job in management. That was the top of the ladder. Get off, you're on the roof, and you're done. Then you had the dual corporate ladder, or career ladder, where, you know, I don't want to go into management. Why can't I progress and become the top technician? Whether it be in manufacturing, IT, any industry, but not everybody is interested in management. So you had a dual ladder. Now what we're seeing is what's called a career matrix. I want to go up, down, sideways, depending on where I am in my life. People are demanding much more flexibility in managing their careers, and successful businesses, if they want the best talent, are going to have to provide for that kind of flexibility. That's what folks are looking for now.
It's much more like a corporate lattice versus a corporate ladder.
Absolutely. I want to be able to go multiple directions.
With all the competition for new employees going forward, what are the successful firms going to look like in terms of the benefits they offer versus, for example, balancing work with life? That becomes a bigger issue, telecommuting, those types of things, making it not only advantageous for the employee, but so the employer gets the best bang for the buck. Everybody's happy.
The phrase that's been bantered about is mass career customization, which is you have a platform that you're trying to fulfill a set of skills that you need in your organization, but you're crafting the job around the person and their interest. And those interests evolve, right? So somebody coming in, they're 23, they have a whole different set of needs in your organization when they're doing that work-family balance than they do when they're 35. And buying a house and getting married. And it's being responsive that even when you crafted that first job for this person, that person is going to change. It's a lot more work. A lot more work for employers.
Can some of these companies prepare for the shortages in specific areas of the workforce?
Well, you're already seeing it happen in 2 industries, and it will become more pervasive throughout other job types. But you see this in IT. You see it in healthcare, nurses, right? So organizations now that need nurses, hospitals, they're recruiting in the Philippines. They're starting schools in Indonesia because they know that there's a labor shortage for nurses in the U.S. So they're funding educational programs both within and outside the U.S. to make sure that they have a steady supply, particularly in California where you have nurse-patient ratios that are mandated. It's not an option to not have nurses if you're going to open a hospital. You see the same thing happening in IT, where companies, big companies, are funding or underwriting degree programs and working with the colleges to give them a supply of the type of worker that they're going to need. And more universally than that, you see business all of a sudden understanding that if I need a prepared workforce of tomorrow, forget the numbers that we're going to be 6 million short, but they're the skill sets I need, I have to partner with my local schools. So you're seeing far more partnership between business and the school system in the high school, junior college, and college arenas, which will be great for the American school system as well. You know, business in America, we know how to do it. So when you come into the school system and do a partnership that's going to have long-term effects on a more productive society, I don't think you can lose.
And I think you'll see a lot more training on, you saw some of that for a while and we went away from it. It seems like we're bringing that back, on-site training for a specific skill set, whatever it is. Will we see bigger training departments within these business environments, or will it be outsourced? I mean, where are the opportunities to kind of prepare?
I think it'll be a combination of both, right? Some organizations just aren't going to have the critical mass. Most organizations have less than 100 employees. They're not going to have a full-fledged.
So for our audience, they're probably going to have to outsource this.
They're going to outsource that because they probably can't afford to take the people within their organization who really know how to do the job off production while they train somebody, as well as the fact that sometimes if you're not, you may be the best performer, but you're not a good trainer. So there's a recognition that training is actually a specific skill. So you see a big influx of people who are corporate trainers, contract trainers, and it works very well for businesses. They come in, they learn your processes, you use them more episodically than having a permanent full-time trainer on staff. You have to have a pretty significant critical mass to afford that.
Will the small and medium business be at a disadvantage competing with some of the larger firms when the shortage hits, because they can offer them more attractive benefits packages and some other things?
That's certainly true, but what the big businesses have difficulty doing is being nimble. So I think as we see folks look for different things in the workplace, a smaller business can customize a job around a person because there's only 150 of them. How many variables are there? As opposed to a huge organization, the other things that firms can do, and again, better in a smaller organization, is there's a new influx of managing the people around your good performers, and that is a lack of tolerance for jerks. So some organizations are even codifying that they have a no-jerk rule in their businesses now and making that part of the interview process. Because oftentimes in the workplace, it's not these balance things. Maybe you fixed that. Maybe your compensation plan's fine. Maybe I'm doing meaningful work I always wanted to do. But boy, the guy who sits next to me drives me nuts every day, and that's going to make me leave.
So it's not just skill-based. This guy could be really good, but if he's making 3 people ineffective, all of a sudden his value has dropped considerably.
The age of the brilliant bastard is dead.
So good. I think we've all been waiting for that.
Exactly. We have been waiting for that. But this very much influences talent management, because it used to be that if folks could perform their job but they couldn't interact with others, that was okay because they performed their job. This recognition of the reality of the workplace being that people have to be able to work together will be great for organizations that want to be cutting-edge employers. If you have a codified no-jerk rule, and you're in your recruiting processes, you know, we take this very seriously. We don't bring jerks into the workplace, so you won't have to interact with jerks here. Doesn't that give you a leg up to somebody who's talented and can go anywhere else they want if they don't think they're going to have to deal with the things that make us all crazy every day? Look at there's actually an equation they call it the total cost of jerks, the TCJ, and they were talking about the effect on your customer base. Right? What are the odds that somebody who's not pleasant to work with is delightful with your customers?
How do you train folks to not be jerks or scream for the jerks? Or because someone's on their best behavior in the interview process, and then they get a little comfortable, and oh, there's an employee shortage. You know, I'm a jerk. I mean, how does that work exactly?
I'm a jerk. They're on their best behavior. In the recruiting field, we call that dating behavior. Right? Everybody's on their best behavior on that first date. They're trying to make a good impression. You have more than one date. Right. The same way you would weed out someone who's not appropriate for your value set in your personal life. So you would have multiple interactions and multiple people interacting. We're seeing a return of the panel interview. We're seeing people bringing in, it's not just the hiring manager or the HR manager who's talking to folks, it's both of those folks. It's come in and have lunch with the team. Observing how folks interact with each other in a social setting can tell you a lot about whether they are inclined to only play to the folks with positional power. And if you're not looking for that, if you're looking for somebody who interacts well with your team, well, then you know before you make the job offer.
That's great information, Danica. So there's going to be a shortage. You're going to have to work for it.
Absolutely.
Don't hire any jerks.
Don't hire any jerks.
All right, fantastic.
Very good.